I'm Sive Finlay and I'm a zoology PhD student supervised by Dr. Natalie Cooper. I'm interested in broad-scale patterns of how species evolve and their ecological interactions with their environment. One such pattern is convergence, which is the evolution of similar traits in distantly related species. It's a common process, and there are some well-known examples, such as the similarities between many placental and marsupial mammals. It's very tempting just to look at two species and say they are convergent because they look similar, but it's important to get past these subjective perceptions. If you can compare the shapes or morphologies of species and measure exactly how similar they are, then that allows you to ask more interesting questions of why and how species have evolved to be convergent. Tenrecs are a great example of convergent evolution. They're a group of small mammals which are found in Madagascar. They have lots of quirky traits, but what I find most interesting about tenrecs is the huge morphological variety within this group. Have a look at these pictures. If I asked you to group 6 together and leave 3 odd ones out, I think most people would do this. It's a good guess, but when you look at the molecular evidence, it turns out that tenrecs are actually more closely related to elephants and aardvarks than they are to shrews or hedgehogs. So tenrecs seem to be convergent with distantly related species such as moles, shrews and hedgehogs. I'm interested in measuring just how convergent tenrecs are and investigating some of the causes of these similarities. I work in Natural History Museum collections to gather my morphological data. I measure the shapes of skulls and the proportional sizes of limbs. This gives me information about the animals' diets and how they move around within their habitats. I then compare these traits in tenrecs to convergent but unrelated mammals. I use a set of statistical techniques called morphometrics to analyse and measure the morphological similarities among my species. I will plot the results of my analyses in a morphospace, which groups species together based on their similar morphologies. The moles, hedgehogs and shrews should all occupy their own areas in morphospace, while I expect that the tenrecs will be more spread out and be closer to the other species than they are to other tenrecs. This will allow me to measure the degree of similarity between tenrecs and the other species. Having figured out just how convergent tenrecs are, I plan to model and compare the niches of tenrecs and the other mammals. It will be interesting to test whether morphologically similar but distantly related species living in very different habitats may experience similar selective pressures, which could explain why they have evolved convergent traits. I hope that my research will increase our knowledge and understanding of this unusual and fascinating group of mammals, and also help us to understand the process of morphological convergent evolution, which is common throughout the tree of life. And when the cuteness factor is this high, who could resist the appeal of tenrecs?